Rhonda. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. And what you see here next to me is my swimsuit cover-up. I've also made a matching hat, which is Italian designer inspired. If you go on Holt Renfrew, Saks Fifth Avenue, crochet is big now. So I made this matching hat, which I really love. And you may have seen previous videos where I showed the beginning of this design. And well, it's done. It was done in 2 panels. And the panels were a combination of 2 different mesh stitches. As you can see, there's the plain mesh and then the mesh with these beautiful fan clusters. And I also trimmed it with the same fabric as in the hat. I'm going to show you the yarn I used in one moment. It's either cotton or cotton blend. So I wanted to match. And then in the back, I brought the neckline down, and look how pretty that is. The drape is really nice. I color control a little bit, so I think that looks really good. All nicely centered. And I put these braided ties at the front, which can be tied through, crisscrossed a little bit to keep it closed, or they could be undone, and this could be worn open. Having that option was something that I thought was a good idea. I didn't want anything too constricting, and I like the idea that it could be both open and closed, and just these nice free-flowing sleeves. So yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out. So please stay with me. If you'd like to make one of these, I'm going to show you how. I have a tutorial for this hat already. I just switched it up a little bit as I did a continuous round to eliminate the seam. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, it's the exact same pattern. So which yarn did I use? I used this Caron Cotton Cakes in the colorway Beach Glass. Very pretty. And this is a cotton blend. It is 60% cotton, 40% acrylic, really nice and soft, really nice drape, really comfortable. And this is also washable, which is really nice because if you're at the beach, who doesn't want to just throw their things in the wash? You have sand in your clothes. So it is machine washable and dryable. And this is a 250 grams cake. 530 yards, which is a really nice amount. How many did I use for this? I used almost 2. So that's actually pretty good, getting a big garment like this, because it is long. It goes right down to the knees. Really nice, really cozy. And for the brown yarn, which is in the hat and the trim, this part here, I used Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, and this is 100% mercerized cotton, also washable, which is really nice. Both of them are a 4 weight, and the 24/7 come in 100 gram skeins, 186 yards, and I really didn't have to use much because the hat is made with both yarns and the trim is minimal. So I think I might have used 1, maybe. So if you would like to learn how to make this, I'm going to show you how to make the panels. I'm going to show you how to assemble it. The only thing I did not show you is the trim, which you can add. I just did front and back post to make a ribbed edge, and then I added the braided ties. So that's just a simple braid that you can do, but you don't have to. You could just do the pattern that I show you, and you can add these extras if you like or not. I'm going to do this tutorial in 3 parts. The first part, part 1, which is this part right now, I'm going to show you how to do the first part of the panel, being the simple mesh stitch. In part 2, I'm going to go into the second part of the panel, being the mesh stitch with the clusters. And in the third part, I'm going to show you how to put it all together to make your beach cover up. In that way, you can go at your own pace and not feel pressured to get it all done at once. So let's begin with part 1. So to begin, here are all the things you'll need for this project. I used an H or 5mm hook, and this is a very flexible pattern. It's based on measurements more than anything else, so if you prefer a finer yarn or a bulkier yarn, you can do it because you're basing your panels on your individual measurements. But for my purposes, I use the 5mm hook. You'll definitely need a darning needle to weave in your ends. And you'll need a tape measure. Very important to have a tape measure because this is going to be for you or whoever you make it according to the desired measurements of their body. Stitch markers are very important in this project as well. You will use them to mark off where you're going to assemble your sides and your back. If you wish to close your panels completely at the front, you can do that as well, and the stitch markers help you with that. And I also use the stitch markers to put my 2 panels together to try it on, just to get an idea of the sizing. You'll need a pair of scissors, and you'll need your yarn. I do recommend lightweight yarns if you're going to be using it for your bathing suit. So you could use linen, you could use bamboo, you could use cotton, you could use cotton blends. These are just the ones that I use, the 24/7 cotton and the Caron cotton cakes, as I mentioned at the beginning. And again, that's flexible. So let's not waste any more time and let's begin. I'm going to show you how to make those panels. For the measurements, this is actually 33 inches from shoulder down to the bottom. So it makes it quite a long dress or cardigan. So that's 66 in total because this piece goes up to the top of the shoulder and down to the back. And in width, I've made it 9 inches across. And so that would be 18 inches across once it's completely done on one side. So again, it's just going to be try as I go. So putting that aside, let's go to the 2 separate patterns that I'm using in this piece. And again, you'll notice that there's just the regular mesh, but there's also this part with some added detail in it. So let's take a look first at that. So just the plain mesh, I'm using the Crochet Stitch Dictionary by Sarah Hazell. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. And it is the number 136, the arch mesh pattern. And for this pattern, you need a multiple of 4 stitches plus 1 plus 5 for the foundation chain. So as long as you have multiples that add up to this, you're okay. Now I'm doing 234 stitches, and I've already chained my 234. So you can see it's quite long. Before I continue, I just thought I would give you a little tip, and you may already have figured this one out. When I'm chaining and it's a large amount, I'm always concerned I'm going to lose count. So in this one, I just put a stitch marker after every 50th stitch. So therefore, if I lost count, I'm only having to go back 50, because there's nothing like being interrupted and you're all the way down to close to the end and you lose count. So that's just a small tip. And let's start. Now this is a really easy pattern. It's actually fun in how easy it is because you don't have to think too much. It's really simple. So after chaining your stitches, you are going to do 1 single crochet in the 10th chain from the hook. So counting 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1 single crochet in that stitch, and then you're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then skip 3 stitches, and in the 4th stitch a single crochet, and just repeat that all the way to the end. That's how simple it is. So chain 5, skip 3, so 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th a single crochet. How simple is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the 4th stitch a single crochet all the way down to the end, and I'll meet you at the end to tell you what to do next. Okay, so at the end of your row you're going to have this long skinny chain, and if your count is right you're going to end up with an exact amount where you are skipping 3 and chaining in the 4th. Honestly, if your count is off a little bit, I wouldn't worry about it at this point because it is mesh and it's forgiving. You're not going to notice it. So I wouldn't go ahead and frog the whole thing if you're off by 1, for instance, or 2. I would just keep going. So now for step 2, you're going to chain a total of 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and turn your work. So I'm just going to shove that all on the other side. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet in the chain space, and then again we're going to chain 5, and then 1 single crochet in the next chain space. It's going to feel awkward and loose right now, so you can do several things to try to control it, and I'll show you that in a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and single crochet in the next chain space. And what you could do is just pinch your ends together like this so it doesn't go flopping all over the place. And again, chain 5 and a single crochet, and that's what you're going to do all the way down to the end, and I'll meet you when you get to the end. Now you've reached the last part of your chain. You're going to do a single crochet, and then you're going to chain 2, and in the 4th chain from this loop here, from your original chain, you're going to go in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 4th chain you're going to do a double crochet like that, and then you're going to chain 6 and turn your work. And again, you're left with what looks like a really shabby chain, but it will start looking like something as you go forward. Now here we did the double crochet. We're not going into this part. We're going to do a single crochet in the first chain 5 space, and then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So again, single crochet, and then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and single crochet into the next one, and chain 5, and right across, same thing. Really simple. You're going to see that it's looking more like that mesh stitch. Okay, so just keep going across, and anytime you get to this side you're going to do the chain 2 with the double crochet in the 4th chain, And when you get to the other side, you're just going to do that single crochet in the final chain 5 space. So once you get to the end of this row, I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so coming to the end of this third row, the only thing you're going to do in that last chain loop is to go in and do your single crochet and then chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and turn. On this side, you're not going to skip anything because you did not do the chain 2 and double crochet. You're just going to go into that first chain and single crochet right there. Once you get to the other side, I'll show you again what needs to be done differently at both ends of this project. So here we are back at the last chain section. So again, 1 single crochet, chain 2, find that 4th chain from the end here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that chain do a double crochet. That's the only difference between the two ends. And then you chain 6, same as the other side, and turn your work. Okay, so now it's just going to be the same as you've been doing until you decide to change your stitch, and that's personal preference. You can switch it up towards the middle of your panel or closer to the center of your panel. It really doesn't matter as long as it's even on both sides of your cardigan or cover up. So that's the only important thing. And just go from there and keep working your way up. You're going to see, because the stitch is so open and lacy, it is going to work up pretty quick. And I'll tell you how many rows I've done to get to the part where I started the change in my pattern. I did 13 rows up. Once I got to this point, I decided where I wanted to place this other detail in my pattern. So you can do the same, but I suggest you measure and see how much fabric you want for your front half of your panel and back half of your panel. Just measure it out and see what your preference is, because you may want yours smaller or larger. And when you've reached the point where you would like to switch up your pattern, then stop and come back to the video, and then I'll show you what comes next.